There is a moment in every creative life when a quiet voice inside asks a dangerous question. What if there is something more in you? Something waiting, something ancient, something alive. Most people hear that voice once or twice, then bury it under fear, duty, or distraction. But a few, the restless few, pause. They listen, and when they do, the world inside them begins to tremble, as if an unseen force has been knocking at the door for years. This story is about that force. Elizabeth Gilbert calls it big magic, and she believes it moves through every person who is brave enough to live a creative life. Not a life of fame or applause, but a life guided by curiosity, courage, and a willingness to partner with ideas that seem to appear out of nowhere, asking for a home. Her book is not a manual for artists. It is a map for anyone who feels the pull of something beyond the ordinary, something that whispers, try, just try. Creativity, she says, begins with a simple truth. Ideas are alive. They wander the world searching for collaborators. They knock on doors, they tap shoulders, they clear their throats. Most people ignore them. But sometimes an idea chooses someone who is awake, someone who is paying attention. And that is when the magic starts. Imagine sitting at a desk or walking down a street or washing dishes in silence when suddenly a thought arrives with the clarity of a lightning strike. A story, a project, a solution, a dream. You feel it before you understand it. Something inside you sits up, alert. Your pulse changes. The moment feels electric. Gilbert says that is creativity trying to enter your life. It wants to work with you. It wants to be made real. But here is where the real battle begins, because the arrival of the idea is always followed by the rise of fear. Fear disguises itself as logic. It speaks in the tone of a concerned friend. It whispers warnings about embarrassment, failure, judgment, wasted time, financial ruin, disappointment. Fear tells you that your idea is not original, that your skills are limited, that you will regret the effort. And because fear is loud and creativity is quiet, many people withdraw. They let the moment pass. They close the door. The idea moves on to someone else. Gilbert argues that fear is not the enemy. Fear is an ancient survival mechanism. Fear has kept humanity alive. But fear does not understand the creative life. It wants safety, not expression. Protection, not transformation. So she suggests something radical. Instead of trying to kill fear, acknowledge it. Bring it along for the ride. But do not let it drive. Creativity asks for courage, not perfection. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move despite it. Most people believe they need permission to create. Permission from teachers, critics, markets, or society. But Gilbert insists that your existence is your permission slip. You do not need to prove your worthiness. You do not need to justify your curiosity. You only need to follow the spark that stirs something in you, because that spark is never random. Creativity chooses people who are willing to work with it. She tells the story of writing Eat, Pray, Love while working a full-time job and facing deep personal struggle. She did not wait for perfect clarity or perfect conditions. She simply followed her curiosity, page by page, day by day, trusting that something meaningful would grow from the effort. It did, but she emphasizes that the success of the book was not the magic. The magic was the commitment itself, the devotion to showing up even when inspiration did not. Big Magic treats creativity like a partnership. Inspiration provides the idea. You provide the labor. You do not have to suffer for your art. You do not have to be tortured, chaotic, or dramatic. Creativity thrives in a steady, respectful environment. It wants your time, your patience, your sense of humor. It wants you to treat it like a living relationship. Show up consistently. Put in effort. Be open to surprises. Then comes one of the most powerful ideas in the book, the idea of creative entitlement. This is not arrogance. It is the belief that you deserve to create simply because you are human. You deserve to explore your ideas. You deserve to try. Most people shrink from this mindset because they fear judgment. They fear being seen trying. They fear being seen failing. But creative entitlement is the posture that unlocks the door to expression. It frees you from shame and places you in partnership with possibility. Yet creativity also asks for persistence. Gilbert tells the story of how she wrote an entire novel for years, only to lose the project completely when life became overwhelming. Later, she discovered that another author had published a novel with the exact same premise she had abandoned. This was not coincidence to her. It was proof that ideas move from person to person until someone is ready to bring them to life. Creativity does not wait forever. If you hesitate too long, the idea will find another vessel. She does not say this to frighten you, but to remind you that creation is a dance. You are invited. You are not guaranteed an endless invitation. Honor the ideas that choose you. Then comes the part most people avoid: rejection, failure, mediocrity. Critics. The quiet sinking feeling when your work does not succeed the way you hoped. Gilbert challenges this fear directly. She says every creative person must develop a stubborn, almost playful resilience. You must be willing to make things that are imperfect. You must be willing to be ignored. You must be willing for your best effort to go unnoticed. Not because it is pleasant, but because the alternative is creative death. The world does not owe you recognition, but you owe yourself expression. She shares stories of painters, dancers, scientists, authors, and ordinary people who lived vibrant creative lives without fame or applause. The joy they felt came from the act of making, not the outcome. Creativity is not a transaction. It is a devotion. Gilbert also warns against perfectionism, calling it one of the most dangerous forms of fear. Perfectionism tells you that your work must be flawless before it is shared. Perfectionism freezes you in endless planning, endless editing, endless doubt. But perfectionism is just fear in disguise. It is a guarantee that nothing meaningful will ever be finished. She suggests creating with a sense of lightness. Let your work be imperfect. Let your process be messy. Let yourself grow through the act of doing, not dreaming. When your project is done, release it. Start the next one. Keep moving. The creative life is a cycle, not a destination. It is a long conversation between you and the unknown. Then she reveals another hidden truth. Creativity is attracted to joy. When you treat your work with resentment or pressure, inspiration retreats. When you treat your work with curiosity and delight, inspiration leans closer. Discipline matters, but so does play. Adults often forget how to play. Creativity remembers. It wants you to explore, experiment, ask questions, follow strange ideas, get lost, and rediscover wonder. Gilbert describes creativity like an affectionate, mischievous companion. It wants to surprise you. It wants to collaborate, but it needs you to be receptive. It needs you to say yes. At the heart of big magic is a belief in enchantment. Not supernatural magic, but the spark that ignites when imagination meets courage. The feeling when an ordinary day becomes illuminated by a sudden idea. The moment when a blank page becomes a doorway. The quiet thrill when something inside you wakes up and says, "Let's begin." She urges you to follow your curiosity, especially when you do not know where it leads. Curiosity is the breadcrumb trail toward your creative path. It asks only for small steps, small experiments, a willingness to explore. Curiosity does not demand certainty. It asks for movement. And then comes the emotional peak of her philosophy. Creativity does not hate you. It is not trying to punish you. It is not testing you. Creativity is trying to make your life bigger, more interesting, more meaningful. It wants you to participate in the unfolding of something that only you can bring into the world. Imagine living a life where you trust your ideas, where you welcome inspiration with open hands, where you do not shrink from your gifts, where your creativity is not a burden, but a companion. That is the life Gilbert calls big magic. It is not a life free of fear. It is a life where fear no longer commands your choices. It is not a life free of failure. It is a life where failure becomes part of the dance. It is not a life of perfect clarity. It is a life where you move forward anyway. Guided by curiosity, she encourages you to choose enchantment over fear, to choose curiosity over perfection, to choose effort over expectation, to choose courage over comfort. Creativity rewards those who show up, those who stay open, those who remain curious even when they feel uncertain. In the end, her message is simple. You are more creative than you know. You are more capable than you believe. The magic is already inside you. It has been there since the beginning. All it needs is your willingness to participate. So now the question turns back to you. What idea has been knocking at your door? What quiet desire keeps returning? What project, dream, or curiosity has been waiting for you to say yes? You do not need grand plans. You do not need flawless skill. You need the courage to begin. Take one step. Write one sentence. Make one sketch. Learn one skill. Follow one spark. The magic will meet you there. And if this story stirred something inside you, if it made you feel the faint pull of your own hidden creativity, then let this be your invitation. Your next idea might already be waiting for your permission. So listen closely. Then say yes. The magic begins the moment you do.